The Hartford Small Business Insurance knows that running a small business is a big time commitment. So this holiday season, they're celebrating hardworking small business owners with a chance to go to iHeartRadio Jingle Ball in Miami on December 16th. Nominate yourself or another small business owner for a chance to win a trip for two. Includes airfare, 2-night hotel, tickets to the show, plus $1,000 in spending cash. For official rules and entry information, visit iHeartRadio.com/smallbusiness.
Are you struggling to conceive? You have options, and at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group, we'll make sure you have the guidance and support you need. PREG is known for individualized fertility care that's unique to every patient. We take the time to provide a reassuring and empowering experience because we believe that you deserve nothing less. Let us help you on your journey to parenthood. Visit us at pregonline.com to learn more. Get the guidance and support you need at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group.
Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Join us as we seek the truth and travel the long road to justice.
Hi, everybody. It's Thursday, and we're a little late getting started. It's just been one of those days.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
So you got over here this afternoon, and it's just one of those times where it seems like every 2 minutes I had to get out of the seat for something, and we go back and forth doing things all day, and then the last thing my daughter does is, bless her heart, slams her fingers in the door right before we go on. So we're here now.
Yeah. I've been listening to your crazy music all day. I feel like I've been floating around in space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen.
I nodded off a couple of times, maybe.
Okay, so you guys might think I'm a little bit wacky, but at night, I read this article on some scientific website about healing tones and how they can help you have vivid dreams and that sort of thing. So I started listening at night. I put on YouTube on my TV, and it has like a black screen, so your room isn't all lit up. And I'm telling you, I've been having the most vivid dreams of my life. And so I started reading a little more on it, and it said, hey, you should try this stuff when you're working at your desk. And I don't know. I mean, normally you come in and I'm blasting like Pink Floyd or something from the 80s, but this stuff has gotten me very zen.
I thought I was in a massage parlor or something.
It's crazy stuff. So we're a day late because your nephew gave you the gift that keeps on giving for a solid 24 hours.
Yeah, it was rough.
A tummy bug.
It was rough. It was not fun at all.
Yeah, we're glad you're better.
Yeah. I'm a diabetic, so it normally takes me a little extra to get over all that. So, yeah, it wasn't fun.
And you have to be really careful. She got super sick a few years ago. Had to go in ICU. I mean, you were almost circling the drain on that one.
Yeah, my sugar was extremely high.
Yeah, so we're glad. It's so late, y'all. I should be in the bed.
Yeah, it is past your bedtime.
We are glad Fruit Loop is feeling better. And one more thing before we get started on the Orson and Orrin West case out of California. I saw something on Facebook that we need to try. Baby goat yoga.
Yeah, you sent me that picture.
Oh my gosh. So you go do yoga, but like baby goats get on your back and stuff.
I can handle yoga. I don't know. Normally I do a tad bit of yoga with my little great nephew sometimes on my back, but I don't know about no goat.
I'm sorry. Baby goats are the best. Like,
they are funny.
I want one just so I can buy little pajamas.
I'm going to tell you, baby goats are good. When they get older, they mean.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Goats, you Google that video.
No,
mean goats.
There was a goat that had butted my kid when they were little. It was great. Didn't have a camera going. We could have went viral.
Yeah.
So
she wasn't hurt or nothing though.
That kid's got a harder head than concrete.
Yeah.
She's fine.
Yeah. But I do want to say thanks for everybody who said. Hope I feel better. So I appreciate that.
And we just had to keep the cooties out of my house because it would spread like a wildfire.
I'm all about not spreading nothing.
Thank you.
Yep.
So we're picking up a new case that a lot of our listeners have asked that we start covering.
Yes. And we are going to cover the updated stuff with Daybell and the other Victoria Rose case and all after we go through jumping this. So
we're just trying. What we're doing is we're kind of doing a little bit of an overhaul right now on this podcast, and so we're working on a new logo. just trying to sort of get to make it easier on us, and it helps you guys know what to expect.
Yep.
So we've got a lot of exciting things coming up that I think are just going to help us. But what we're going to do is cover these cases and kind of get the backstory in one full episode. And then as these cases have updates, then you guys know how our podcasts roll.
Sure.
But we just want to get these stories out. And this one is so bizarre, but very reminiscent of where we were this time last year with JJ and Tylee.
Yeah, it's almost a mirror. I mean, some of the stuff not religious related or anything like that, but as far as the kids missing and people moving and nobody knowing where the kids are, it's no leads, no info.
Nothing.
I mean, there's nothing. It's like these kids just disappeared.
Yeah, and I was surprised because until people had told us to pick this case up, I'd never heard of these boys.
Yeah.
Mainstream media really hasn't got this case out there. I don't know why. They've been missing since the end of December.
Yeah.
So we're going to jump into that, and we're going to talk about what we know so far, which really isn't a lot, but I think there are some gaps you can sort of fill in here and there. But we're going to get started on this. First of all, we've gotten a lot of our info from KGET. There is a reporter out there, Perla Sheen, and she has been on this case since the beginning, and she's done a great job. So we just want to give them a shout out because we have used a lot of their articles to kind of get educated on this case.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about these boys, Fruit Loop.
So 3-year-old Orson and 4-year-old Orrin West, they were in this adopted in this new family, and we think it was a closed adoption because I think the parents of the biological parents hadn't seen them since like 2018.
Yeah.
So we're assuming that was a closed adoption. And in this house, there's 2 biologicals. The parents are Trezell and Jacqueline West, 2 biological kids. And then there were 4 total adopted kids.
Right.
So the Orson and Orrin, and then 2 more adopted kids.
And the question right now is, I don't think there's been a little bit of back and forth. The police chief said, who I love, his name is John Walker in California City. This is the city they lived in when the kids supposedly went missing. But I think that, let's see, he said that he's gotten over 2,500 tips so far.
Yeah.
But they didn't issue an Amber Alert.
Yeah.
And that's kind of telling.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's not being put out there,
right,
that makes you lean one way or the other. And with tips, it's so hard for police, I know, because I mean, everybody wants to give a tip if they think it's, if you see something, say something. And so the cops have to like track down every tip. And I know that's difficult.
Yeah. The FBI is on this case, and they were called in really quickly.
Yeah.
So, I know they're assisting, but it's always like if you get 2,500 tips, and this is a teeny tiny city. This is like Rexburg size. Maybe, I think probably smaller than Rexburg. It's tiny.
When I looked that up on Google Earth, I was like, and I've traveled, but me and you both have traveled out that way. I've been in New Mexico and Arizona. And where they are is like, it's like where I go. You can drive an hour and a half and not see anything.
Yeah, it's just it's like a huge sandbox. They're in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
But so I think, what's the criteria for Amber Alerts? Because a lot of people get really confused when a child is missing, yet they don't issue the Amber Alert. There's some criteria from the Justice Department.
Yeah, so there's reasonable belief by law enforcement that an abduction has occurred. So they have to know, okay, they've been abducted. Mm-hmm. The law enforcement agency believes that the child is in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death. There's enough descriptive information about the victim and the abduction for law enforcement to issue an Amber Alert to assist in the recovery of the child. So they can't issue an Amber Alert if they don't know a vehicle or anything like that. Like, there's nothing to go on. The child, the abducted child, is age 17 years or younger. The child's name and other critical data, including the child's abduction flag, have been entered into the National Crime Information Center system.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that goes into that.
And I'm sure when you get 2,500 tips, I mean, you have to follow up on every one, because that one smack in the middle could be your tip.
Yeah.
So I fully respect investigators and, just the overwhelming job they have of sifting through all this stuff. And it takes time, and we've seen that time and time again.
Yeah, and we want justice. We want answers. We want all this stuff very fast, but they're working on more than one thing. And they have, I think, and we'll talk about this later, they have a lot of information that they can't share.
Right.
But there is a reward out, right?
Yeah, and so right now the reward's huge, and it's a combination of the biological the adoptive extended family, I believe, maybe the biological, not sure. They've all been involved.
Yeah, and I know
family.
California has released some money too.
Yeah, and some dispensaries out in California fronted the money, and then the Lamar Advertising Company donated like 5 billboards for a month.
That's awesome.
So yeah, we gave them a shout out on Twitter, because it's a billboard company and they're everywhere, but still, that's 5 billboards they're allowing this family to use to hopefully get a credible tip somewhere.
Yeah, they're coast to coast.
Yes. So let's jump into these boys and what happened.
We've released this statistic before. Before we get into this, we've said this statistic before. But it's 71% of homicide cases with false reporting. The reporting party is the one responsible. So we're not saying that the kids are deceased. We're not doing anything like that. But that number is huge.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's jump into this.
Into the boys.
Yep.
Where are the boys is the hashtag everybody's using. And so they were reported missing on Monday, December the 21st. The reports are from the family that about 4:30 they went missing, and about 6 o'clock the dad, Trezell, called 911.
Yeah.
So we're just going to give some little basic things, and then we're going to get into more of what they said happened.
Yeah.
There were 12 registered sex offenders in the area, and the police searched their homes. So that was kind of ruled out pretty quickly. I'm sure that's one of the first things they look at when a child goes missing.
Was typical. Yeah.
And then we know at this point law enforcement has asked the parents and others to take polygraphs, but they have not said whether or not they did and those results.
Yeah. And we know those aren't admissible in court, but it still helps the police narrow down things. So.
Mm-hmm. And those kids' ages, now, these are all super young kids. You have 6 kids that range in age from 3 to 10.
Wow.
And so when did they start fostering these boys?
Looks like in 2018 they were adopted, and then they were adopted in April of 2019. Mm-hmm. So they moved to Bakersfield, California, to California City in September of 2020.
Mm-hmm. So it's not too far. It's about an hour and 20-minute drive from Bakersfield to California City. And when he asked about why they moved, he said he wanted to be off the grid.
Yeah, he wanted to grow his own vegetables or whatever. And I'm just saying, where you're living, I don't know how much vegetables you're gonna be growing in that sand out there.
Yeah, that's a little.
I don't know about that, but.
Well, I mean, it's just a little suspect because we know the boys have never been verified as having been in that city or that house for that matter.
Yeah.
So the time that they moved, which is September of last year, that's kind of the last time that we think maybe somebody saw him.
Yep.
So that's kind of it.
That we've heard so far.
Right. So it's kind of like, it's a good time to move if you did something bad.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going an hour and 20 minutes away from a possible crime scene. So
I'm just saying, there's a lot of us been living off the grid since COVID hit. I'm just saying, like, it's like one of those things you come out like the bear coming out of hibernation.
Yeah.
Hadn't seen daylight in months.
Like the vampire when the sun hits him.
Yeah, it's no joke. My little great nephew, when he started going outside after we'd been inside a good bit because our weather was bad and everything, the sun finally came out and he's like sticking his head in his shirt like he can't see. He's like, "What is that thing in the sky?" But yeah. So they were very off the grid.
Yeah. But it's just odd that the boys were never seen.
Yeah.
They're back in Bakersfield right now, and I can't help but wonder why. If my kid is missing in California City, I'm not going to leave and be an hour and 20 away.
No.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah. And I did watch the interview they did with there was like, I think 3 news agencies, and they were getting kind of hammered pretty hard by extended family from the biological family at that thing. And I'd never seen that before. Like they were doing an interview and all of a sudden you just hear these people start yelling questions. And I'm like, wait, is that a reporter or a neighbor or what? But it ended up being biological family. So,
well, I think the neighbors there were some people in the community that were outside of the home.
Yeah.
That were yelling, "Where are the boys?" Somebody drove up in the middle of the night and like tacked up a poster that said, "Where are the boys?" So
yeah,
law enforcement has made very clear that in Bakersfield and California City that the people that are doing all this to the family, the adoptive family, the extended family has gotten death threats. And that, I mean, what's that going to do?
Yeah.
What do these people have to do with anything? I mean, nobody is a suspect at this point, but I don't think these people are going to be, vocally saying, "Help us find the boys," if they got something to do with it. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, but they've had a problem with that. And law enforcement has said, you may think you're helping, but you're doing the worst thing you can right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get moving back either. Like I would want to stay in the hub of.
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Yeah.
Where they went missing.
Because the dad said he thinks that they're around there.
Yeah.
He made that comment to the media. So why would you move away?
Yeah, I don't. Because I'm under the assumption that the biological family lives close to Bakersfield, I guess. So, I mean, it's not like you're moving away from somebody, attacking you or whatever.
Right.
So.
Another theory I had about the move, if the boys are dead, is it that they wanted to get far away so that people would not routinely see them and then question where the boys are, because they were reported missing right before Christmas. Kind of makes me think if they did something to the boys, then they were going to have to produce those boys at Christmas to see family, because their kids, the 2 biological and the other 2 foster or adopted kids, were with grandma at the time the boys went missing.
Yep. And he claimed because the boys were younger that they kept them with them and didn't leave them with the grandparents.
I mean, okay, I can get that, because apparently the grandmother has her own foster children. And then so you're adding 4 more to that mix, and then you got 2 that are 3 and 4. That's a lot. I would like to know when this vacation was planned.
Yeah.
Is it something that was in advance, or was it sudden? I have a lot of questions.
Yeah. So jumping into cell phone data, I mean, we've seen this in a lot of cases where I'm going to tell you, every app you use has some kind of tracking. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's got all kind of stuff. I mean, pictures you take leaves metadata, and like everything like tracks where you are. Google, I mean, we found out through the Daybell case. I mean, they can pinpoint Alex Cox's cell phone, next to where JJ was buried. So
Right.
We know that cell phone data will hopefully shed some light on everything here.
I'm curious to see if they changed cell phones when they moved too. It's because they handed the phones over to law enforcement, from what we understand. Law enforcement kept their phones, did whatever they needed to do, and then they gave the phones back to. I'm sure they gave it back with a little bug in there, but
yeah.
But still, I'm interested to see how long has that number been in service, because they can go back and pull. If you pull up Google Maps and you have this enabled, it will show you a map of it'll show you the world, and then it'll have your pictures that you've taken.
Yep.
Right down to like the community you were in.
Yeah.
So if there's anything for like on digital forensics, they're gonna get it.
Oh yeah.
And that's gonna give them a lot. We know in Vallow Daybell, that's probably gonna be 80% of what convicts these people.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they're gonna have the physical evidence with Tylee.
Yeah.
And I think with JJ and Tammy Daybell maybe, but we know that the digital data is gonna be huge.
Yeah.
In that case.
And I will say, when I moved to West Virginia, I kept my same number like forever because I didn't want to have to change it.
Right.
Like I just gave people up there my number, and I kept my same number for a long time.
Well, it's not like these days you have to pay to call long distance.
No.
So it's people just keep their. I have friends who have moved 5 years ago and they still have a local number.
Yeah.
So that's not a big deal, but I'm just curious. I mean, if they're hiding something, it's going to be obvious they're hiding.
Yeah. Another question, did the real estate agents see the boys?
Yeah. And I would be curious to know, when they were showing interest in the house, did they say they had 4 or 6 kids?
Yeah. I just want somebody to say, yeah, this is when I saw them last.
Right.
And they kept, in the interview they did outside or whatever, somebody said, you have updated pictures, and they were like, oh, well, they're on our phone with the police, and we haven't seen any updated pictures.
No, and we know the police have given the phones back. Yeah. So I find it odd that if they have updated pictures, as soon as those phones were handed back, to me, any parent would say, here is an updated picture. This is what they look like. In fact, all the pictures that I've seen come out, with the exception of maybe the 2 that are on the missing poster, have come from the biological family.
Yep.
My kids, I have 2 teenagers and an almost 10-year-old, and I take pictures of at least them daily.
Yeah.
And I think most parents do.
Yeah.
So it's just odd if you would have a family with 6 kids and she can't give you an updated picture of the youngest, which usually are like the funnest to take pictures of.
Yeah. So we've been discussing DSS, it seems like
way too much.
Yeah. And there was some red flags that I just think they missed.
Yes.
With parents not having jobs outside the home. So it looks like that they were just relying on the money from the 4 kids.
Mm-hmm. That's what one DSS worker that was interviewed about this case. She wasn't actually on this case.
Yeah.
But she did say that is to her, it's a red flag when she goes in for home studies and find out that the parents have other fosters and don't have jobs.
Yeah. I mean, well, here's my question. You go buy a house, buy a car, you've got to prove your salary, where you work, all this stuff. Mm-hmm. But when you have a kid, you don't have to prove any of that?
I don't know. I mean,
come on.
I think and I've read a lot lately since the Victoria Rose case, since we started covering that, about, just things that happen in the adoption world. And there are a ton of people out there who do this for a living, and it's a financial thing, and it is not from the bottom of their heart thing.
Yeah.
And I guess when you have as many kids in foster care as we have in America, That's the thing. We don't have enough staff to vet everybody. We have too many kids in the system. There's so many problems.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like there were some red flags with this couple too.
Yeah, and there's awesome people who adopt and have, 4 or 5 adopted kids, and they're awesome and they thrive and they're healthy, and it's just lately we've seen a lot of this come up with unhealthy relationships that there was a ton of red flags and they were missed. All right, so the parents say the 4 other kids went to the grandma's on the 19th. They went shopping that day.
This makes no sense to me because the excuse that the dad gave about the boys going missing in the first place is that he was gathering firewood and the mom was wrapping Christmas gifts and she didn't want the boys to be in there, so they were going to send the kids out to do some sidewalk chalk on the patio. And so I'm sitting here thinking, why would you take the kids on the last Saturday before Christmas, 6 kids, Christmas shopping?
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
No. No. We didn't get to go Christmas shopping.
No.
Like, honestly, we stayed somewhere, and I mean, there may not be anywhere for them to stay, but we didn't get to go because our parents were buying gifts for us, so we didn't get to go. So,
yeah.
Anyways.
Well, so I think the one thing that we didn't do really was kind of talk about the beginning of the case. We got excited. So the dad says that, that he left the gate open. The boys have wandered off. They're missing. What does he say he does?
He goes back. He goes inside, looks for the boys, asks his wife. Then he goes out and gets in the van.
Yeah.
And just drives. We noticed that there were 2 swimming pools right behind his house. One looked to be in ground and one looked to be above ground. But he didn't mention going out there and looking.
You don't see him on the surveillance that we've seen, even going around the side of the house against the fence line looking for those boys.
No.
He doesn't. You don't see a frantic parent doing anything they can to find a kid.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Honestly, I don't think I would get in a vehicle. I would be going door to door as fast as I could.
Right.
Around my area saying, have you seen my kids? I don't think just whipping up down the road because then they weren't gone long.
Right. They're not going to be, they're 3 and 4. They take short steps.
Yeah.
So they're going to be, if you literally went inside for a second and came out and they're gone, well, they can't go far.
Yeah.
So to get in the car and just kind of go straight down the road was huge for me. I just thought, first of all, the gate's open, so let's go search inside the house.
Yeah. Yeah, just weird.
Yeah. And then the neighbors have given surveillance. Now, we know that the police chief has said that that's not all the surveillance they have.
Yeah.
They haven't released anything from when before the boys went missing, only after, and it was only a little short clip. They did release some other footage that maybe the neighbor released it, I'm not sure, but it shows the last time they say the boys left the house.
Yeah.
And you see 4 little heads getting in the van.
Yeah.
And then that's it. The one thing that I thought is after having 3 kids and having a van, and I'm talking a minivan. This was like a van.
This is like a 15-passenger van. That's what it looked like to me anyways.
3 and 4-year-olds have to kind of crawl up in there or be helped up.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to help my 3-year-old up in the minivan.
Yeah.
You don't see that on the video. It doesn't seem like those 2 boys came out of that house and got in the van like the family said.
Well, and you got to buckle them in a car seat.
Right. I'm curious to see when they impounded the van, did it have 2 boosters or car seats, whichever they were in? At 3 and 4, they probably boosters.
Yeah.
The big boosters that look like car seats. But,
yeah.
I mean, it's going to be really easy to prove if those kids were ever in that house or in that van.
Yeah. So when they return, the parents are the only ones seen returning that night.
Yep.
So I don't know. And I don't think there was any kind of chalk drawings or anything on the back of the concrete.
No, and there were no toys in that yard either. That was the one thing the neighbors said, that they had seen a couple of the kids or some of the kids, but they couldn't say that they ever saw the little ones.
Yeah.
And then the police chief, at one point, he's been great about doing just some sit-down interviews with local media, like 30-minute little interviews where he doesn't really give anything. But he did kind of the other day slip up a little bit, and they were talking about if they thought anybody knew what had happened. And he said something to the effect of, they know what happened. Somebody in there. He was talking about the house in California City. And then he immediately, you could see him correct himself, and he said, somebody somewhere knows something. We totally believe that there's way more they know than what we know. And that's why we say so much like Vallow, is because this time last year we were like, she's never getting arrested. These kids have vanished. We don't know if they're dead or alive. And so I think in a month or two, maybe we'll start to see some movement. But.
Yeah. And we both have thrown out theories of what we think, and me and you are on two opposite ends.
We are very much on opposite ends.
Yeah. I just, when you look at everything, my thought and my gut goes to, they had money coming in for 4 adopted kids. That's a lot of money.
It is.
And why and how do you possibly kill a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old like together, like both of them, so you're down that money. I'm just not sure that these kids weren't sold somewhere. The child trafficking is huge in those areas. You have California, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, like all in there. There's a lot of trafficking over the border, and I don't know. We'll do that. We did this with the Daybell case. One week it was they're deceased. The other week they were held in a bunker somewhere. So
yeah, I just don't. We've seen this play out too many times, and maybe I'm just a little raw from JJ and Tylee, but I don't have any faith these boys are going to be found alive. Yeah. I just think they're dead. And there's a lot of desert in between Bakersfield and California City that I'm not convinced they'll ever find these boys.
Yeah, I don't know. We always hope and pray that they can be found and bring them home. But
either scenario is terrifying and horrible and just makes you sick.
Yep.
But I found an article today about something I've heard the term used for an animal, but it's called rehoming. So apparently there is sort of a underground world online. One group on Facebook is still active, as a matter of fact. And then Yahoo shut down a website where people literally go on there and say, I hate my adopted kid. Who wants him?
Wow.
One lady said she had just got back 5 days earlier from Guatemala with an adoption, and they just didn't like him. So they were and I haven't finished it. It's like a 5-part series. It's a lot of reading, and you know how my day went. So I did good to type anything out. But it's terrifying. So essentially you can go on a message board and they post pictures and say, hey, pretty much hate this kid. Who wants him?
Yeah. There's tons of things that do that. It's called Backpage, and it was a classified advertising website. This was like it was found like 2004, and so the feds finally shut it down. It was seized in April of 2018, and it had become the largest marketplace for buying and selling people.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it's sickening. It's sickening.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
For anybody to lose their life, but kids and people sold and just trafficked, it's no good. So you had a good point about the neighbors saying they never seen the boys at the house.
Right. Nobody that lived around there could say that they saw the boys. Now, I will tell you, doing Google Earth and Google Street View, it's really out by itself, and it doesn't, I mean, there are houses on this street. Who knows ages, if they're outside much. It's the desert. It's not like you go relax on your back porch.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But nobody could, but I said, here's the thing. Give me a toothbrush. Give me a hairbrush.
Yeah.
Show me something that those boys were in that house. Show me a bed they slept on.
Yeah.
Anything like that. And if you can't show me that, then show me like your bank receipts. I want to see where you were buying stuff specifically for those boys.
Yeah.
Look a year ago and see what purchases were being made that probably would be at that point for a 2-year-old, and tell me when they stopped.
Yeah.
I think there are ways they're looking into this, and sometimes it's not necessarily that, you know, you need a body. It's always good to have a body, but I mean, we don't know Tammy Daybell's autopsy. It could come back fine, but Rob Wood said we may have enough even without a cause of death to still charge them.
Yeah.
So
there's too much surveillance now out with people having cameras and Ring doorbells and cameras inside of Walmarts and just stores and
you're on camera probably pretty much all the time unless you're on a back road.
Yeah, you drive to the drive-thru at Wendy's, you are on camera.
Oh, you know what I found out? This is like, I learned this literally like yesterday. When you're in a drive-thru, you know, like the split drive-thrus where you're like, how are they ever going to know that's my car?
Yeah.
I found out they have little cameras and they take a picture of your car.
No way.
And so when you order that, like, I guess when you pull up, your car is shown with your order. Anyways, just sorry.
Oh.
Just a random thing.
Yeah, sir. ADD kicking in.
Right, yeah. But no, so the dad just, his story just didn't jive with me.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you the thing that was a red flag for me was the search dogs. So the search dogs detected the boys inside the house, but not outside the house. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, but those kids were never out in that backyard. Those dogs, and we found out it was search dogs, cadaver dogs, any kind of dog they could bring in.
Yeah.
Because we know they dug up the backyard. They did GPR, ground penetrating radar.
They also used a jackhammer.
Yeah.
There was some concrete.
Yeah, they did all that stuff, and they never got a scent in the yard. Those kids were not in the yard. Those kids didn't walk out that fence because those dogs, I mean, dogs are trained to sniff anything. And I just don't believe, we don't believe they were ever in that house. Mm-mm. We think just the smell that they got from that was just something that might have been the boys.
But you don't even, there's no way to prove. I mean, I could have given them a sweatshirt from any of my kids and said, this is theirs, and the dog's going to go after that scent. The dog doesn't differentiate between kids. So you don't even know if that's the scent that the dog was given.
My only point with that would be if it was, then it would have detected them in the backyard. Because their witnesses said the kids were in the backyard, the older kids.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. So that's my only thing with that. I just don't think the kids were ever in that backyard.
Mm-mm. But the day after the boys went missing, they took the parents in for questioning. They didn't have them cuffed or anything. And they had a search warrant in the home. Now, we don't know if they consented to the search warrant. I mean, if the boys were never there, I guess it would seem good to look very cooperative in California City.
Yeah.
But they had that search warrant like super quick. Yeah. And they came out with a little bit of stuff. It was like some brown paper bags and maybe like a duffel bag.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a lot. the police chief was asked, do you think there were ever kids in the home? And he said, I think so. He said, well, what about Orrin and Orson? And he said, not necessarily.
Yeah.
So I don't think the police chief ever felt like these kids were in California City.
No. No, I don't think he did either. And the dad, I mean, when they did the interview, he was when he was getting yelled at by the biological family, which, I mean, I don't blame them. It's their family that's missing, and you entrust somebody to look after them and take care of them. That's why you're an adoptive parent or foster parent. And he kept saying, I totally understand why you're acting this way. I totally understand. I would react that way too. I mean, he was very calm.
Yeah.
But something ain't right.
The way he had his hands the entire interview, he had himself so closed off.
Yeah.
It's not like you just have your hands kind of resting comfortably. It's like he had his hands shoved as far as he could into his armpits with his thumb sticking out.
Yeah.
The whole time.
And it's cold there.
Get that.
He needs a coat on.
I don't think it's that. To me, that's closed off.
Oh, yeah.
That's like, I'm not letting anything out. I'm not letting you in.
Yeah.
And I just didn't think their reactions. If I have two of my kids missing, you're not going to be able to get a word out of my mouth.
Yeah.
I don't think I could breathe.
Yeah. No.
They just didn't. But I don't see a kidnapping. It's a desert. So you're telling me that in this deserted little neighborhood, that the boogeyman in a white van, just not the dad's, but a white van just happens to come by when two little boys wander off and, oh, wow, lucky day, scoop them up. I don't think they were kidnapped.
Yeah. Here's another point that hit me a minute ago. And we've seen this happen, when kids get out of the yard or whatever and wander off a little bit, a lot of times a neighbor will find them and say, okay, I found a missing kid. I don't know who they are. I mean, the Victoria Rose case,
right?
Her brothers left and went to the neighbor's house with the biological mom. That was one of the issues. And I don't blame her because she was exhausted, but she had fell asleep. So they got out of the house and went. So a neighbor, turned them in.
Right.
So I just think that a neighbor would have been out and saw them.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but if I'm riding down the road and I see a little 3-year-old and 4-year-old walking by themselves, I'm probably going to stop and assist and find out where they're supposed to be. So
yeah, but the sheriff has suspected foul play. I mean, he really does suspect foul play because there's just no proof of life.
Yeah.
He's not. But they do have a person of interest, he says, but he won't say how many.
Yeah.
So they're on it. It's just.
It's not in our speed. We want it quicker, and we want answers now. And we discussed this sometimes with them, and I understand they have to withhold information because it's an investigation, but it makes more speculation when you withhold some of that stuff. So
yeah, and we've seen that all year.
Yeah.
In the Lori and Chad.
Yeah.
Just crazy speculation, and then you get to the point to where some rumors can be just passed off as fact, and then it's confusing, and it's insane.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy that these people are having like the extended families are just having to deal with nasty people. It's just so counterproductive
because they didn't have anything to do with it.
No.
No. So, and feelings get. I won't say feelings, but emotions get in the way when things happen to family and stuff like that. And I understand that, but just be civil and just everybody come to a conclusion where, you're in it for the kids.
Right.
You have to set your emotions to the side.
I mean, these people, instead of standing outside of people's homes or sending ugly messages, if they wanted to post flyers on Facebook pages with their time instead of being, counterproductive, that might be an idea.
Yeah.
But, people come out with the pitchforks and anyways.
Yep. So we know they're searching. I would think they were searching all over between Bakersfield and Cal City. And
yeah, I'm sure they're looking to see if there were any odd stops at any point where they stayed for an hour in the middle of the desert or anything like that. They did the same thing with Letitia. When Gannon was missing, they were able to track her to the area. That's when they found the particle board that had his blood on it.
Yep.
So people are usually criminals are just stupid in some way.
Oh, yeah.
They leave a trail, everything but a popcorn trail.
Yeah.
So, and I'm curious too, you know, when was the last time like a dentist or a pediatrician saw these boys? Might give some time too I mean, because at that age you go once a year.
Yeah.
When you're healthy, and then you got visits when you're sick.
Normally, your 4-year-old's in 4K. I mean, they are here, so I don't know. I mean, I know you don't have to go, but
you have COVID, so
that's true.
It seems like they were keeping all their kids home.
Yeah, that's true.
We know January 3rd, the apartment in Bakersfield was searched, and I'm curious if they've started searching landfills in Bakersfield or California City or really anywhere along the way.
Yeah.
That's going to be hard, but they're really amazing at how they can quadrant that off, and then they can narrow down, okay, a year ago, we dumped trash from this neighborhood here.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're doing all that.
Yep.
And then just the purchases and everything else. You're going to see if they bought anything that is suspect.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of all we know about this case. I mean, there's just not a lot out there. But I do think the other thing that they're not saying is when the grandmother who lives in Bakersfield said she last saw them, he said it would cause people to speculate. So I think you can kind of draw something from that too.
Well, we gonna speculate as to why, you know, when.
Yeah.
Speculate about speculating.
Right. I mean, because the grandma has not been implicated. None of the nobody's been implicated right now. Not even the parents. So, but you know, is it a thing where she got the date wrong or there's no telling. Maybe they have proof on their own with surveillance that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
So who knows? There's just not much coming out right now.
But body language, they've been looking at that interview all day long.
Yeah, but they haven't taped that house off in California City. They're just not acting like that's a crime scene. I don't think that they believe anything happened there.
No.
Cadaver dogs and all that, they would have hit something.
Yeah.
Curious to see about the van. I don't think they've got the van back yet, have they?
I
think I read today they have not got the van back.
I know they still had one of the vehicles. I just don't know which one it was.
Maybe that was what I was seeing. But we're going to keep an eye on this case. We're going to stay really active on it. I think that these boys need to be in the news more.
Yeah, show their picture.
I mean, because if you have somebody out, if mainstream media is not covering 2 missing kids, 3 and 4, that one person that has a credible tip might never know these boys are missing because the media ain't covering it.
Yep. See something, say something.
And we need to see something, say something just in general.
Yeah.
All these kids that are dying, I feel like, are we going to have to become like a vigilant society where we look at parents with their kids in Target and I don't want to become that way, but man, it's just, if you look at Victoria Rose on the Instagram, she got bruises in every picture.
Yeah.
You just don't look for it when things are good.
No.
So we're going to stay on top of this case. If anything happens, we'll keep you updated. But, we had this hearing yesterday with Mark Means.
Oh, my goodness.
John Pryor.
Yep. Rob Wood.
Everybody was on that screen.
The judge and my hero, the court reporter.
Yes, the court reporter.
Yep. So we know this was Mark Means. He filed a motion to compel. And I just want to say, you can tell they do not like each other.
No.
No, it's like
Rob Wood, dude, he's got some patience.
He does.
That man's got a gift because I'll watch him because Mark Means and John Pryor both can really just get very accusatory in their arguments. And I just watched Mr. He like cocks his head to the side when he wants to say, what the heck are you talking about?
Yeah.
He cocks his head to the side. I'm learning his body language.
Yeah. I did think one of the things was funny when Pryor spoke up and said something, and the judge said, well, you didn't file a motion.
Yeah.
You don't have a motion here. You didn't file a motion to compel.
Uh-huh.
And he said, I'm just speaking on behalf of Mr. Means.
Yeah.
It's like father and son there.
Yeah, I don't even know, why he was there, but...
I guess because they're
Yeah, I get it, but...
whatever they are.
But he wasn't allowed to speak.
Yeah, yeah.
So, at the... Oh, gosh. Yeah, I know everybody is entitled to a defense, and we're not going to talk mean about anybody. Just one of the two irritates me a lot more.
Yeah.
So the judge ruled for Mark Means.
Kind of, sorta in one of them. He's like, Wood, okay, make sure you give him everything. Make sure he has everything.
I think it would be funny if in the summary that he has to send within 14 days about what he talked with, it's like, oh, we talked about pound cake recipes and whether or not the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, here's my wife's text list of what groceries I need to pick up. So we did find out why Pryor, because we were all questioning, why is Pryor sending that letter kissing up to the judge about how good the jail was in Fremont?
It was like a Yelp review.
Yeah.
Fremont County, I totally recommend it.
4
stars.
out of 5 stars.
5 stars.
Yeah.
We've had great service.
Yep. So now we know why, is because then Means comes in and says, Pryor hasn't had any issues in Fremont, and am I going to have to file a, what did he say? They're discriminating against, what is it, Title IX, I guess.
Yeah.
Discriminating against female prisoners. And I just want to say the whole time when he keeps bringing up that they recorded his conversation, I want to say, and Wood said it, and I was like, yes, you go. He said, it's because you didn't turn your phone number in.
Yeah.
That's why it was recorded.
Right.
And then Wood goes, I had to turn your phone number in for you.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Burn.
So, yeah, get it, Wood.
Oh, yeah.
So the no cell phone didn't fly.
Yeah.
That was
the judge
great.
was like, I'm not going to allow her or anybody for that matter. I
Yeah.
mean, he just kind of, without saying it, thought, dumbest thing ever.
Yeah. Wood goes, I've never heard this request ever.
Right. And the other thing that Rob Wood said at the hearing was that I think he was 8 days late in responding to them. And he said, I've never seen anybody file a motion to compel after 8 days either.
Yeah.
But I think that Means and Pryor, right now, all they can do is just try to knock Wood off his toes.
Yeah, they're nitpicking.
Mm-hmm.
Just nitpick, trying to,
and it's
like
all,
you said, yeah.
It's all hogwash.
It is hogwash.
It's hogwash, y'all.
It's hogwash. But so the next hearing for Chad is March 22nd. That's the motion to dismiss.
Yeah. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell y'all it's going to be denied.
Yeah.
Just a preview.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see what the argument is. He's just going to say that they haven't charged him with anything really other than the, 5 years of peace felonies. I don't know. But
Yep. Then you have that, and then you have the pre-trial on June 2nd, and then the jury trial on June 12th. So far, we don't know if those will hold, but
no, I think more charges will drop, and those dates will be out the window.
Them big ones is coming down, and we talked about this. Like some of this nitpicking coming from Pryor and Means. If Wood would just drop those charges, just drop them so they can just hush.
Right.
Just hush.
It's not going to matter when you got, I mean, let's do the math. Charges possibly for, we think charges for Charles.
Yeah.
Charges for Tammy.
Yep.
Charges for JJ. Charges for Tylee. She's looking at 4 murder charges.
Yeah.
Chad, 3.
Yep.
I don't think he had anything to do with Charles.
Well,
I'm not physically, but I'm sure he knew about it.
Yeah.
But I'm saying they can't. I don't think they can tie him to Charles. Although
conspiracy.
Heck, I've never thought of that. What if they have some digital proof he conspired in Charles's death?
Yeah, he did. He told her he was, what was that name? It's left me.
Oh wait, Nick Schneider.
Yeah, Nick Schneider.
That is the most. It sounds like somebody on One Day at a Time. Is
that
Schneider?
It was Schneider.
That's why I'm thinking Schneider.
Yeah, but yeah, so I'm saying he's implemented in that one too.
Maybe. I have never even considered, after all this time we've been doing this Fruit Loop.
Yeah, they're going down.
Oh,
gosh. 4.
It's going to be better than Christmas morning when these charges come and all these people get justice. It's just going to be awesome.
So I'm just saying, friends of Wood, tell him just drop the charges.
Come on, Wood.
Do it. Just drop them.
Lay down the gauntlet.
Yep. So switching gears back to Victoria Rose, which is the case, the other case we picked up. There was a great article that Mandy from Fitz News put out, and I think we shared this on our social media. She has done some great investigative work, and she had an interview with a friend that was a close friend of Ariel Robinson's from elementary school on. And she was actually supposed to be, that runs together. She was supposed to be.
It is a little tongue twister.
It is, isn't it?
You did good though.
That's pretty good. She was supposed to be at Ariel's house the weekend after Victoria's death.
Now, that would have probably been like maybe an adoption celebration, because if you remember, they were going to formally adopt these kids on the day they were arrested.
Well, it was actually, and YouTube has pulled all this stuff, so we don't know what it looked like or anything, but it was actually they were going to film a cooking segment for her new YouTube channel.
Oh.
So this is a red flag right here. So this girl has been friends with Ariel since she was in elementary school. So Ariel calls her the day after Victoria dies and tells her, I'm sorry, or she sends her a message, I'm sorry, and tells her, I'm sorry, we're going to have to cancel for tomorrow. I will be in touch. That was on January 15th. She didn't mention anything about what happened the day before. And this lady, she has a daughter, and they were talking about just a couple days before Victoria's death, she was talking to her about their girls playing together. Mm-hmm. So this lady who wanted to remain anonymous
I'm sure.
said, I don't blame her, said that her father, that the friend's father called her to tell her the news, and she actually argued with her dad that it wasn't true. So it wasn't until after the hearing that she heard the details at the bond hearing. She said she began to understand what happened and why she was guilty.
Wow.
So, I mean, they'd been friends, since, like I said, since elementary school. And she said that Ariel grew up in a loving, religious home with a strict father. He was military, so...
He seems like a really cool guy. He seems really funny on one of the Instagrams. It was Ariel and her sister, and he had put a sign on his grass that said, don't walk on the lawn or something, or stay off the lawn.
Yeah.
And so they went running out on the lawn. But you can tell in every video, he just seems like such a pleasant man. And we always feel bad for the families that didn't ask to be drug into this.
Yeah. So the friend did say that Ariel tended to be a bully when they were in elementary school, but by middle school, she was the girl that everyone was friends with. Mm-hmm. So
it's hard. I mean, because I think, like her friend, you get to a point to where when you hear she's done something like this, you're like, yeah, no way, this isn't right. But it also goes to show you the double lives people lead, and we have no clue.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people do we know personally that we would be shocked what goes on in their homes?
Yeah.
Probably a lot more than we would want to know about.
Yeah.
But to this level, it's different. I don't know of anybody I know personally I could say would be capable of murder.
Yeah. So, I mean, her friend just really talked about her social media post, that she always thought it was odd that she would always post about Victoria, and she rarely posted about the boys. Mm-hmm. And if she did, it was all 4 boys together. Nothing with just Victoria's 2 brothers. So she just said she found that all odd.
Yeah, that's a great interview that Fix News got, because that's what we want at this point, is to start hearing from people that knew her.
Yep.
And was there anything in her personality that maybe now they connected dots and say, oh, this makes sense, or I could have seen this coming, or I don't know. I mean, we've seen pictures of these kids pretty much from the time she started posting about them. There's bruises on them. In fact, the other day I found one that I sent to you of the older brother, and it looks like he had a pretty sizable yellow bruise right over his eye.
Yeah.
It was at that yellow stage.
Yeah. And there was another one we found that the oldest brother, I think that was the youngest brother who had that one. The oldest brother had some places on his legs that looked, and kids are kids. They're going to come up and get some bruises because they play. Boys,
girls, because gosh knows
I did.
I spent my childhood skint up.
Yeah. But not to the severity of what Victoria Rose went through.
And I will tell you, we have had somebody reach out to us, and that's all I'm going to say. And the way they described how her body was as if it had just been run over.
Yeah, hit by a car. So that it's just sickening. And Michelle Earp, I think is how you say it, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. She did a Nancy Grace interview that I listened to, and one of the things she said, and she was emotional, and we're definitely praying for you guys because I know it's hard. And she said she can't help but think, would Victoria still be here if they would have got help sooner? So after however long she endured what she endured, we know the husband went to CVS to get stuff. They put her in a Epsom salt bath and all that kind of stuff. Would she still be here? Because the guy that's a medical examiner on, I don't know if he's a former medical examiner, I think. His name just left me on Nancy Grace. He's always on there.
Michael Baden?
It might have been his name. I can't think. That might be it.
He's the guy that had the show Autopsy on HBO.
Maybe
he's my favorite.
Yeah, he's really cool. He said that he guarantees that there was a brain bleed.
Oh yeah.
So I just don't understand it. I don't understand how you can do that.
No, it's just I've never been able to even spank my kids.
Yeah.
Thank goodness they're all sweet and adjusted and not raging. But I can't physically hit a kid. I'm not saying anything other than for me that's like a no-go.
Yeah. I will say, and we've had some of you reach out, there are different qualifications for money continuing and money being cut off. And we've seen this in these cases we've looked at. There are some times where criteria is not met and the money does stop once they're adopted. Foster care, you get all your services. And sometimes there's times when the adoption goes through, it does stop. It could be monetary, you make a lot of money. So different things, there's different criteria. We did have a source tell us that there's a possibility the money would have continued with Victoria Rose and her brother's cases. So, but there are different ways that comes and goes. So
I think it's the two cases that we're covering with Victoria Rose and with Orrin and Orson. Both sets of parents, we know Ariel and Jerry online were accused of doing this for money. And there's been the same concern raised about these adoptive parents in California. So we know money's an incentive for some people out there, but we just want to shout out to all those awesome adoptive and fostering parents who are putting their heart and soul into these babies and keeping them safe and healthy because, they're kids, they're our future. And I can't, it makes me want to stop what I'm doing and just buy a van and just go around the country and try to help kids.
I said that, my favorite person in history besides Jesus is Corrie ten Boom, and she's my favorite story. I'm actually I've read almost every one of her books, but when she got out of the Nazi prison camp back in World War II, she opened up these places for actually Germans to come in because they needed help because they had been through a tough time too. So I always thought it'd be really cool. You remember our elementary school they tore down?
Yes.
So I always thought it'd be really cool to buy that thing and just set it up as an orphanage or something for kids that they could just have a awesome time, family support.
Yes. Can you imagine if you and I ran an orphanage?
Oh my goodness.
We would have the best time.
It would be so cool.
It would be like the fun orphanage where oh my gosh.
Kids can be a kid. It's like McDonald's.
Oh yeah. That would be amazing.
That's the other thing that bothers me about, and I see this happen a lot when you're out in public or whatever. Kids are kids. Kids aren't adults.
Right.
And people try to treat them as adults, and they're not adults, they're kids.
You're going to be sorely disappointed every time you expect a kid to act a certain way.
Yeah, exactly.
It's people, I don't know, it just seems to me like these days in general, people don't have patience anymore.
No.
Parents, the guy next to you on the highway, we just need to slow down and reprioritize, and I think we all just need to reinvest in kids. Somebody commented on, I think it was YouTube or Facebook. It was a wonderful idea. She said she was retired and she's bored. And she said, we need to start something here in Greenville where maybe retired people go and hang out with these foster kids and just to go lay eyes on them, but also to be not that staff member. This is just kind of an, middle-aged, older person that's kind of a buddy. But also that the kid might feel comfortable too. We need to start doing things like that in this community. And all over the country, we need eyes on kids.
Yeah.
let's not get people that are just home and bored. Let's put programs in place where people that want to do this get training to do this, and then they go do it.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's like taking kids into nursing homes.
Yeah.
I mean, it helps. It helps both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you, I love hanging out with older people.
Oh, me too.
Like, it's my jam. Like, your grandma, she's so cool.
She's 86. She is the hippest grandma. She's the coolest. Man, she's a queen, and we just love her and take care of her. But she's kicking and doing her own thing, lives alone. And my grandpa died 4 years ago, and you know, it's been rough, but she is living her years.
Yeah. And
I'm so thankful she's healthy, but I can't imagine a world without her in it. But we do love our elderly and our babies. It's just, you know, it's just starting out and loving the ones that took care of us when we were just starting out. It's a circle.
Yeah. There's so much history.
Yeah.
I mean, so much history. So they lived through a lot of stuff.
Grammy loves to tell us about, you know, her childhood and smoking the Indian cigars that hung off the trees when she was little and stuff.
Yeah, that's funny.
No telling what that did to her brain. But anyways, we're done for the night. This has been a long one. How long?
Over an hour.
Wow.
So don't forget to go sign if you haven't signed the change.org. I think we have 2 on there now, right?
We have pinned on our Facebook and our Twitter. The first post you'll see is the petition for Victoria's Law, which would require that DSS make unscheduled visits for these kids and some other things, and it's a great start.
Yeah.
And we're really pushing that. They've got a ton of signatures, over 30,000, I believe, and we're just going to keep sharing it until we don't need to share it anymore.
Yeah, and we've got to find the other one. There is another one, Gainon's Law. There's another one out there for that one. And it's, I forget off the top of my head what it's about. I should have researched it before, but we'll find that and put that up too. Because it just left me off the top of my head.
Yeah, me too. You know, I'm not a backup when it comes to remembering stuff.
Yeah, and I sent it to you. I did. I sent you the link. But anyways,
so we'll be back Sunday. As of right now, unless anything crazy happens, and so we're just gonna keep monitoring these cases. If there is another case you want us to look into, we're, you know, I mean, there are gonna be times where all these cases are gonna be quiet.
Yep.
And so keep your suggestions coming about what you want to hear, and we try to please.
Yep. Good night.
Good night, guys.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.